Certified Pediatric Sleep Consultant and founder of Cloud9 Sleep Consulting. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Sleep Tip Tuesday. Today, I thought we'd talk a little bit about how to get your newborn to sleep in a crib or bassinet or pack and play. I've had several questions come in this week about that topic, and so whenever I see that, I think it's something that other people might be wondering about as well. So a couple of things. I think that it's really helpful to kind of think through the different techniques that are soothing to babies. One is swaddling. And so oftentimes newborn babies will fall asleep while they're eating. That is normal, and we don't need to do anything to change that yet. So as we kind of think through that, it can be helpful to swaddle your baby before you feed them so that once they fall asleep, they're already swaddled and ready to be placed into the bassinet. Next, I think it's helpful to think about positioning as we're lowering our baby into the bassinet or crib. And so if we place the baby in kind of bum first and then put their head down and keep a hand on baby's chest for a minute to provide just a little bit of gentle pressure as we kind of scoop our hand out and let baby settle into the bassinet or crib space, that can be helpful positioning. The next thing that I think is helpful to think about too is that when baby is in utero, baby is used to being in a very tight, confined space. And depending on the size of your baby and the size of your bassinet or crib or pack and play, that wide open space can feel really unsettling to babies. So sometimes it's helpful to kind of position baby so that they're closer to the edge of the crib or bassinet so that they have some physical boundaries. So the side rail or the foot of the crib or the head of the crib can kind of provide some boundaries to baby. So you can think about that, and maybe every time after every feeding, maybe you rotate where they are in the crib, but just kind of giving them those boundaries can also be helpful. The next thing that I think it's important to think about is just using other soothing tools and kind of stacking them. So we already have baby swaddled. We've already worked on positioning and kind of keeping baby in a nice, safe place in the crib with some boundaries. And then we can think about adding some other things like sucking is another really settling and soothing technique for babies. So if your baby uses a pacifier, you could offer the pacifier as you're laying them down into the crib or once they get settled into the crib. Babies love sound. The womb is really noisy. It's about 90 decibels in there, which is loud. And so using some shushing sounds, which mimics the sound of the womb, can also be really helpful. So sometimes you have to start that out kind of loud, and then you can kind of ease off of it once baby relaxes. But you can try using some sound. So either shushing yourself, or you could use white noise, and kind of match it to baby's needs, and then you can decrease it as needed as well. And then lastly, I think it's also just helpful to think about some movement. So babies are used to kind of swaying and moving in utero. And even when they're in our arms, I think they're kind of used to a little bit of motion and movement. So sometimes it's helpful as babies kind of settling into the crib or bassinet space just to provide a little bit of motion. So just jiggle the mattress ever so slightly, just to help them kind of settle and relax. Once baby is relaxed, then you can ease up off of any of those techniques, and then you can walk away. And I think the last thing that's really important to keep in mind is that this takes practice. This isn't going to be most likely one of those things where you do it once and it's perfect, and then every night thereafter for every feeding and whatever else, baby just accepts it. You're going to have to just keep practicing it. So know that it's a work in progress, that every attempt that you make is helping baby to learn that this crib is a safe space. And the more you practice, the better baby will get at it. And you can try stacking those different soothing tools. You can try, just try and experiment. Sometimes we need to get really curious about what works for our baby. And I think parents with multiple children will tell you that what works for one doesn't always work for the next. And so we have to get really curious and kind of figure out what works for our baby. But those are some general ideas that can help. So I hope that you'll try those out and let me know how it goes. And as always, if you need further help or if you'd like one-on-one consultation, I would be happy to meet with you and to provide that. And you can get in touch with me on my website, www.cloud9sleepconsulting.com. or you can message me on Facebook or Instagram as well. So that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll be back again next week. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.